Hi, I'm Fran, and I'm here today to interview Janice Metropolis, who is head charge nurse at Long Beach Memorial. So here we go. So Janice, what kind of classes do you have to take in order to get to where you are today?
Well, in college, I had to take a lot of sciences and math, particularly chemistry, anatomy, physiology, biology, statistics, finite math, as well as a psychology and sociology class. And that was in order to get accepted into the nursing program. And you had to maintain a 3.8 or higher.
So Janice, what college did you attend?
For my nursing degree, I actually went to Long Beach City College, and that actually takes 4 years to get your nursing license or your degree. But with that, you only have an associate degree, so I went back to Cal State Long Beach and got my bachelor's degree in health science with a focus of health care after I was hired.
So Janice, what made you choose this profession?
To be honest, when I started college, my major was a business major, and I did that for the first 2 years of college before I started working in a chiropractor office. And I actually really enjoyed taking care of the patients there, so that's what made me switch my major to nursing.
Cool. So how hard was it for you to get hired?
To be honest, it wasn't as difficult for me to get hired back then as it is for the nurses coming out of school today. In Southern California, it's pretty challenging if you don't have a bachelor's degree. So I recommend, if anybody's going into that field, to definitely get at least a bachelor's, if not a master's. But for me personally, I worked in the hospital for the last year of my nursing degree, and so I was able to meet a lot of managers, and with that I had 3 interviews set up before I was even graduated. One in the ICU, one in the oncology unit, and one in labor and delivery. And after all the interviews, that's actually how I chose labor and delivery. I just found that I would fit well into that unit.
So how flexible is this job? What are your hours that you work and so forth?
At Long Beach Memorial, it's actually great. We work 12-hour shifts. Our unit specifically has been 12-hour shifts since I've been there. 21 years now. Most of the other units were only 8-hour units, but they've all switched to 12-hour units now. So technically speaking, if you are a full-time employee, you work 3 12s a week, which is 36 hours, and that's considered full-time. While my children were growing up, I did something called per diem or resource. It depends on which hospital you're in, that's what they call it. And that made it so I only had to work 5 days a month, so I was able to be at home to be with the kids a lot more. And then finally, now that they're older, I went back to being staff again as a part-time nurse, so I just work 2 12s a week. So I still have enough time to get to all of their sports and so forth and be home as much as possible, but I'm gone just 24 hours a week.
How do you build your salary?
For Long Beach Memorial, we have a union, so in the past when there was no union, it was based on your performance, so your annual review with your manager would play a lot into what your raise would become. So you base it basically on how good of a nurse you are and how skilled you are, how many licenses you hold, like the ACLS, the BCLS, all those types of things. Those all increase your pay scale somewhat. And then if you work in a specialty unit like labor and delivery or ICU or the ER, those also raise your basic pay scale. However, now that we are with a union, our union basically maps out what our pay scale is going to be. So no matter what your performance is, you all get the equal pay, which unfortunately for some nurses who don't like to work very hard, it could be detrimental because the rest of us have to pick up the slack. In addition to that, if you go from staff nurse to charge nurse, you do get a pay increase just for the shift that you're the charge nurse. So if you're not charge nurse every single shift, only the shift that you're working at that level, do you get that extra increase in hourly pay.
We're not doing anything. Thank you, ma'am.
It's been real.
Oh.